رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I welcome you all to our Madrasa course, and today we will be doing chapter 13, Surah Al-Kafirun, the disbelievers. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. So this is a very beautiful surah, and it has the ayats repeated. Number 3 and number 5 are exactly the same, and let's see what do they mean. In the name of Allah, most kind, most merciful. Say, Qul is say. O you disbelievers, that is kafirun, I do not worship what you worship, nor will you worship what I worship, nor will I worship what you are worshipping, nor will you worship what I am worshipping. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. So, a little background story about this. The idol worshippers actually wanted to make a deal with the Prophet ﷺ. They told him that if he ﷺ worshipped their gods for this year, then they would worship Allah for the next year. So the surah was revealed telling them that the Prophet ﷺ had nothing to do with their idol worshipping, and no matter what, he would not be following their way of worshipping. So that is why the ayahs are like this, that I will worship only my that for you is your religion and for me is my religion. So the surah, which consists of 6 brief verses, was revealed in Makkah. It expresses one single subject. Nothing must be worshipped besides Allah. The Makkans who opposed the Prophet's message used to try to make compromises or deals with him every now and then to change the teachings of Islam. So the Makkans, they did not leave any stone unturned to do this. They just used every way they could to stop Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to propagate the message of Islam. In one of these attempts, the Quraysh invited the Prophet ﷺ to worship their idols for a year, and they would in turn worship Allah for a year. Very strange that they thought of all these things, but we can see how far they could go to stop and how difficult it was for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to deal with such things. So it was only by Allah's blessings, that it was only with Allah's help that Prophet ﷺ could achieve whatever he could and do whatever he could. So Allah revealed the surah in which he commands the Prophet ﷺ to keep himself away from the idolaters and their false gods. So this is in fact a command to the Prophet to keep away from idol worshipping. So in this surah, Almighty Allah commands the Prophet ﷺ to reject shirk and to affirm Tawheed. That was the first teaching of Islam, Tawheed, to believe that Allah is one and only one God worthy of worship. And opposite of this is shirk, to associate partners with Allah. Shirk is to associate partners with Allah. So there is no one who can be a partner to Allah. Allah has no partners, and Allah is one in His actions, in His deeds, and in person. So, for you is your religion means the shirk that you follow. That is, keep your shirk to yourself. That is what is being told here. And for me is my religion means Tawheed and Islam is what I follow and is what I do not reject. So Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite the surah in the first rakah and surah Ikhlas in the second rakah of Sunnah prayers of Salat al-Fajr. So before the first prayers of Fajr, there are two rakas prayed as Sunnah prayers of Fajr. So in those two rakas, the first rakah, Allah's Messenger used to recite this surah. That is the first rakah, the first prayer, the very first rakah had the surah been recited, the very first thing in the morning. Okay, and he would also perform the witr prayer by reciting Surah Al-Ala in the first, Surah Al-Kafirun in the second, and Surah Al-Ikhlas in the third. So as we know, the witr prayer are the last prayers of the day, which are performed after Isha. So even in that, Surah Al-Kafirun was recited in the second rakat. The first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. So that was the sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is important to note that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam criticized idol worship strongly, but he never used foul or obscene language. His manners were too good to allow any use of rude or obscene language. So yes, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he what do we say? He condemned idol worshipping. He criticized idol worshipping. He didn't want anybody to be into this, to be idolaters. But at the same time, he never used any bad language against those. He never called the idols bad or never mocked them, and neither did he teach us to do so. So it was his manners, and that is what even we should be following. We are not supposed to mock the idols, and neither uh, take it as a very joyful manner. We should be against idol worshipping because we all are on Tawheed. All right. So that ends the explanation. And let's begin with the exercises. Are these statements true or false? Al-Kafirun means the disbelievers. Yes. And what are the believers called? What are the believers called? Believers are called as mu'minun, mu'minin. All right. Kafirun is for disbelievers and the believers are mu'min. The subject of the surah is that ease will surely come after difficulty. This is completely false. The subject of the surah is that it's about shirk and tawheed. So that is the subject. And it is also that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never would involve in idol worshipping. The surah was revealed in Medina. I think it was Makkah. Yes, it was in Makkah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam criticized idol worship most strongly. Yes, of course. This is true. Shirk is the opposite of Tawheed. Absolutely true. So these two are opposites. answer these questions. Who wanted the Prophet ﷺ to change the teachings of Islam? Those were the people of Makkah, the disbelievers. What deal did they try to make with the Prophet ﷺ? They wanted to make a deal with the Prophet ﷺ by requesting him to worship their idols this year, and the next year they would be worshipping Allah. What does this surah teach you? This is a very important question. What is it teaching us? Yes, of course, there we have been taught about Tawheed. Yes, of course, we have been taught that Shirk is the opposite of Tawheed. And we also know Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam criticized idol worshipping and never wanted anybody to be an idolater, and he would never go away from the teaching of Islam. So yes, we learn all this from these surahs. With this surah, we also learn a very important thing. That is, we should be standing up for what we believe in. When we believe in a certain thing, and if it is correct, you need to be standing up for that. You have to be steadfast on that. And you have to be sure and like we said, steadfast. Yes, you have to be steadfast in what you believe. So believe in, so stand up for whatever you believe in. Fourth one, how did the Prophet ﷺ denounce idol worshipping? Prophet ﷺ criticized idol worshipping, but he never used foul or obscene language against it. And memorization, learn the surah by heart. So that ends this chapter. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik.